Hello there, I'm Mark Morris, the host of Along the Rock, our new podcast. And my guest today, I'm pretty excited about it, is a man by the name of Scott Fattizzi. He is the new, what's your official title, Scott?
Executive Director.
Okay, Executive Director of the Stage Left organization in Dixon. I understand that number one, Stage Left has now moved, or is still in the process of moving?
Yeah, so we've moved our location. So we're now in the phase of remodeling our new space into a performance space.
Just a personal note here, my wife and I went to a show, and that upstairs space was a beautiful space. I mean, it was
a really wonderful space and really served us well for 10 years. The nice thing about our new space is the old space, we had the performance space, which was upstairs, and then we had an off-site box office location, and then we had an off-site rehearsal space, and then we had some off-site storage, so we had 4 to 5 different locations. This new setup we have now, everything's combined into one building. And for our patrons, you mentioned the stairs, there's no more stairs to get to our performance space. Our performance spaces are on the first floor, so.
Although I forgot to mention that there was a stair lift in the upstairs space. However, as it was pointed out to me, possibly by you, having a stair lift is one thing, trying to get a wheelchair in the door and into the theater is something else.
Yes. So we're fully accessible now, which is going to be great.
Yeah. With that, change, and it sounds like it's going to be a fairly big one, comes a need for green.
Yes.
Just like this.
Yeah. You know, community theaters in general, even big performing arts centers like the Coronado, a big part of why they're able to do what we do is outside funding, donations, sustained members, things like that. So we are in the process of a fundraiser right now to help our construction costs. It's 100 at 100. Basically, we're just trying to find 100 people that can donate $100. We're not asking for big ticket, high dollars. We'll take them. But yeah, we just want 100 of our supporters and community members to log onto our website at dixonstageleft.org and become one of our 100 for 100 members. Right now, we're a little over 40 so far.
Okay. Do you keep track of your audience base, if you will?
Absolutely. Whenever we can, if people are, we hope they're willing to give us their email and phone numbers and stuff. We do a monthly newsletter that goes out the 15th of every month that gives everybody an update on where we're at. And when we're in production, we talk about the current production and what's coming up. We also announce our auditions and different functions that are going on in our newsletter. So we encourage everybody to sign up for that as well. Other than following our social media, that's another great way to stay informed with what's going on at Stage Left.
Sure. And this is all happening, for those who are not familiar with Stage Left, right in downtown Dixon.
Yeah, we're our previous space was on West First Street. And right now, we're just right around the corner on South Peoria. That's our new space. So we're right downtown Dixon, walking distance, all the great restaurants downtown, a block off the river. So we're fortunate and love being right downtown, and that's where we aim to stay.
I was going to ask you about the downtown location. Is parking the same as it was at the old space?
Yes. So
in general,
because we're so close to the old space, the public parking lot that was right there will be utilized quite a bit, and then there's a lot of street parking right on South Peoria as well. So the parking will be very similar to the way it used to be.
Sure. Don't want to give away any secrets, but on the other hand, I'm hoping you'll tell me some. Anything you can tell me about either upcoming or the remainder of the season?
Yes, so we've got a couple big announcements that are going to happen. On the 5th, we've got a big announcement, and then on Monday the 5th.
So very soon.
Yeah, as it relates to an artistic director. We haven't had an artistic director for several months. haven't had need with the construction and moving and everything. So we will be announcing an artistic director position on the 5th, and then the following week we will be making some announcements about upcoming productions. So we're real excited to be moving into that phase now that the construction's well underway and things going on.
Upstairs from you, wasn't there or isn't there a music shop?
It was Rosebrook Studios, or Rossbrook, I should say. They are no longer upstairs in that building.
Okay.
We actually acquired the entire building, the basement, the first floor, and the upstairs. So the upstairs for us is going to be a combination of costume, prop storage, and our administrative offices, and then a little rehearsal spaces up there as well. And then first floor will be our performance space and box office, and then in the basement we'll have our dressing rooms, green rooms, and scene shop for building our sets.
I don't know how much common knowledge it is, but it seems to me that over maybe the last 30, 40 years even, that theater audiences are aging.
Yes.
Now, do you have somebody, I noticed in just reading things and looking around that a lot of theaters now have somebody called audience development. You know,
Yeah.
I think most people get the idea of what that's all about.
Right. Yeah, so that for us falls on my shoulders as well as our artistic director. One of the great things that I've really been encouraged about is while the theater audience is aging, at stage left, we've actually seen a little change in our demographic where we're getting a younger audience. And that younger audience is interested in not just newer and more cutting edge works, but they also really enjoy the classics as well. So I've been really encouraged to see a younger audience starting to get into the wanting to attend theater and an interest in theater. So it's really been encouraging for us, and I'm hoping that trend stays. You know, I think theater is vital to a lot of parts of our life, and I think it brings a nice something to do for families as well as individuals that's just a little out of the norm, but not out of the norm.
Yeah. And of course, you know, that means more people, particularly the upper staff, has to spend more time searching out works which may or may not be new, but
Right.
there are just so many, you know, scripts out there that becomes, I guess, a bigger part of your job.
Yeah, and it really, you know, one of the things that we really are focused on is throughout our season offering something for everybody. You know, something that a family of 4 can come to, something that the older generation can come to, something the younger generation can come to. That's one of our biggest focuses when we're looking at our shows coming up. But then also taking into account, is it marketable? You know, have people in town said, hey, have you thought about, you know, we listen to our patrons all the time when they send us a note and say, hey, have you thought about doing this show? We look into it. You know, if we've got requests coming from our patrons, we want to look into it, and if it's viable, we absolutely want to be able to give them what they're asking for. So.
One area of the theater which I doubt too many people who are not in the business are aware of is the, well, I don't want to call it a monopoly, but Samuel French holds the key, shall we say, to
Yes.
a lot of work. What are their prices like these days?
So it really depends on multiple factors. When we're dealing with royalties for a show, Samuel French or Broadway or some of the other, they take in several factors. 1, how many performances? 2, what are your ticket prices? And 3, how many tickets are you expecting to sell? So usually what we'll do is we'll come up with, okay, these are the shows we want to do. And then we'll go and we'll get estimates on the pricing and go, okay, is it feasible or is it not feasible?
Right.
You know, and then there's other, you know, a musical is more expensive than a play. So, you know, we take all that into account. You know, we want to make sure that we are being very financial prudent with our donors. You know, they're the ones that keep us here and being able to bring great entertainment to the community. So we want to make sure that we're doing right by the people who donate and help us keep moving forward.
You have said a couple of minutes ago that you have noticed and seen with your own eyes the fact that more younger people are becoming interested or have been more interested than they used to be.
Yeah.
I suppose that that's something that probably needs to be on your mind a lot, just because it's kind of hard to know in some cases by just a title.
Right.
Who's this for? Do we want to go see this?
Yeah, and what I've learned over my 40 years in this business is a lot of it is, like you were talking about, audience development. It's also audience education.
Right.
So as we're educating them on not only who we are and what we do, when they come and see shows, our goal is always to put on the most professional, highest quality show possible, which then builds that interest. And then having that audience member go out, and when they're in the office or they're out with friends at a restaurant going, man, we went to stage left and we saw this show that we didn't think we were going to like, and talking about it that way, which then builds other community interest in building that audience. And that's really important.
Yeah. There is another theater in downtown Dixon.
Yes.
The historic Dixon.
Yes.
A larger place, even with the the new space you folks have. I guess it's a silly question, but do you consider them competition or in some other way?
So I was actually the executive director at the Dixon when we first moved here.
I didn't know that.
I don't see them as competition. Actually, I see them as a very big ally for us and a huge benefit to downtown Dixon. And the reason I don't see them as a competition is they're more of a roadhouse. They're bringing in touring bands, they're bringing in Broadway tours because their size, they can do things like that. And then they have a wonderful children's theater program, which is just blown up. They've actually, I know their next two shows this fall, the enrollment's actually full in their younger class and their older class. I have this inside information because my wife actually is their director. So
Okay.
I actually see them as an ally for several reasons. One, they've got a wonderful staff there, and we work very closely with them. Their technical director will come over to our facility and help us with some things. Our technical director and our staff will go over there and help them with some things when they need an extra hand. And then their children's theater is awesome because those are young performers, young people that are interested in theater that are, when we do a show that has kids, there's a pool outside of the general public we can pull from. But then those are potential patrons down the road as well. So I love having the Dixon. I love that we work really well with them. And, I just see them as actually a benefit to us.
Okay. Musicals. Many people who have never seen a play in their life will go to a musical.
Yes.
Do you have space to do either a regular musical or a pocket musical in your new place?
Absolutely. We're going to be doing more musicals than we've done in the past. Our new space allows us to do musicals. Our new space is also going to allow us to do some things. We're looking at bringing in some wonderful cabaret, nationally known cabarets out of Chicago, and having them come in for a weekend and perform in our space. So yeah, we're actually very excited. In fact, some of the shows we're looking at for our first season back the majority are musicals. So we're really excited to get going on that.
Yeah. One other thing, and just again something I've noticed, and maybe it's it's not even accurate these days. There are still a lot of people. I guess I would say a percentage of people who in their whole lives have never seen a live theatrical performance.
Yeah.
Despite the best efforts of people like you.
Oh yeah.
What's the how do you get over that huge rock?
So, and this isn't a new phenomenon. This has been a phenomenon for years and years and years. I'm actually shocked that Stage Left's been in downtown Dixon for 10 years, and there's still residents in Dixon that don't even know that we exist. You know,
I know, it's really baffling to me.
And we've been on the radio, and we've been in newspapers, and we've been, so I'm not sure how else to reach those people. As far as people who've never seen a show before, that always brings me back to schools and the lack of arts in schools and how arts have been pulled from schools. So that initial introduction to live theater has gone by the wayside. So for us, it's community outreach. It's attending different events. It's going to the city market downtown. It's being out there in the public as much as possible and showing people why it's fun to come. And that, you know, the Dixon also helps with that because they've got a different variety of things for people to go see. So now they're looking for, what else is going in town? And they come across our productions and our shows. And it helps feed the people who may not have originally come. But I think it really comes down to just community outreach and being in the community, being part of these events, not just for publicity-wise, but to participate in our community and be part of those events as a community member.
And I have to guess that a young person seeing you doing, for instance, a show at one of the festivals that, Petunia Fest or one of the other festivals that occur in the Sauk Valley, a child or a young person seeing that is more likely to get that spark than somebody who's my age or your age.
Yeah, and that's where the challenge is when it comes to picking shows, is to pick a show that piques an interest for some reason. You know, whether it's an interactive show or maybe it's, a musical like you were talking about, but finding those shows that appeal to someone who sees it and goes, I've never been, but that really looks interesting, and getting them through the door. And then that person usually knows 10 to 15 people who've never seen a show before. So once you can get one new patron through the door, they're actually wonderful in spreading the news to other patrons who've never seen live theater before.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking with Scott Fattizzi, who is the new honcho, if you will, at Stage Left in Dixon. How long officially does I know it never ends really, but yes, how long officially does your fundraising campaign go?
So the official 100 for 100, we've set a deadline of August 1st. We are going, I can tell you right now, we are extending past that. But officially we announced that August 1st was the end for our 100 for 100, so we encourage everybody that can, but we are extending that, into the future. Also, we're in the process of looking for corporate sponsors for our renovations. Whether it be a contractor that can donate materials or time or, write us a check, whatever. We're looking for those corporate sponsors, and we're trying to do right by our sponsors, our big corporate sponsors, the ones that are helping this renovation along. We've got a nice banner in our front window that got our contractors and our big sponsors list there. We make sure that we push them out on our social medias as well as our website. They're doing a great job of helping us get what we need, so we want to in turn help promote them as well in the community and show the community how much support we have with local businesses and patrons.
Yeah. In some ways, it sounds like kind of a lonely job,
Yes and no. The wonderful thing about Stage Left is we have got an amazing staff. Right now there's 4 of us doing everything that has to happen. But it doesn't matter what it is. Any one of the 4 of us will jump in where we're needed, and we work so well together. And our new artistic director falls right in line with that, so I'm really excited.
And who was that again?
You'll find out on August 5th.
Just like everybody else.
I will say this, little teaser about our new artistic director. It's somebody with several decades in the business. And it's someone I did not think we would be able to attract to Dixon. They're not a Dixonite. They're not from Illinois. They're actually relocating from out of state.
Okay.
And they've got a tremendous resume. Directing and producing over 700 shows.
Wow.
Performed on Broadway tours. Yeah, it's someone that we are so excited because we're so lucky to have found someone with his resume that's willing to come. So it's really hard not to tell you, but those are the teasers.
You want to stick around for a while? I'll work on you some more.
At least I can give you the teasers on their resume and,
Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you coming in because I know you are busy.
I'm excited to be here.
You and those other three ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking with Scott Fattizzi. He's the new executive director of Stage Left in downtown Dixon. And I'm Mark Morris. You've been watching Along the Rock, our new podcast. Tune in next time.